We should be back from our commercial break now. Thanks for sticking with us. This is Overdose Gaming versus Miraculous Gaming. A good match so far. First one was a PVZ, and it was something to be seen. But now moving on into game number 2, Overdose Gaming has a 1-0 lead. Gallegation, what you got for us?
Well, it looks like we're going to be moving into a game that was actually played between subs. Both teams subbed the players that were originally on their roster, which were Solstice and Gunshy. But they then switched in Engulf from OD and Mr. Weasel from Miraculous Gaming. And we did actually get those OD bios during that last game. So I can now introduce our players more fully. From Miraculous Gaming, we will be seeing Mr. Weasel. And, of course, I don't have that one. Sorry about that. Well, we do have one for Gunshy, who was supposed to have been playing. And he was a Grandmasters player and plays with a variety of cheese pressure-oriented builds, usually, like very aggressive type things. And from, let's see, well, I don't think I have bios on either of these players now that I'm looking at it. Nothing for Engulf, nope.
All right.
All right, well, we have no idea who they are, so.
We'll see. If anyone in chat knows who these players are, again, do feel free to post that, and we love to introduce the players so that we can introduce and get the players and teams more well-known in the community. This is the SC2CTL C for community, so always good to promote the teams. But with that, let's jump right into game number 2 on King Sejong Station LE. Gallegation, I'll give you the honors first this time.
Woohoo! In the lower right-hand corner, representing Team Overdosed Gaming, it is Engulf.
And in the upper left-hand corner, the Protoss opponent representing Miraculous Gaming, it is Mr. Weasel. It's another PVZ. I do like my PVZs.
Yes, we'll see. I mean, do you think we're going to be seeing a repeat of the last game? I mean, it looks like from, well, I guess it's a different team. Is Mr. Weasel is on Miraculous Gaming and Phil was on Overdose Gaming. So, do you think that he knows that build as well?
Yeah, to be honest, you know, that build, I would call it by the original person's name, but I don't know if it's necessarily just his anymore. But that build is kind of an Overdose Gaming thing. But there is the caveat that Miraculous Gaming does have a lot of ex-Overdose Gaming players, so who's to say what it could happen? Who's to say? But what we can say is that there's some chrono boosting going on. Probe coming out. Looks like it's going to pop down a 13 gateway at the ramp, so not going to be any super fast expansion-y type things here. Possibly a one-gate.
Engulf's sending 2 drones here across the map. I'm not really sure what he's planning with those. It looks like a proxy hatch.
It does look to be in kind of that position, but there are some rocks on this side of the ramp, so that would
that's a very odd position.
A little bit tough. Oh, it is a proxy hatch.
Sure
Look at this. This could be interesting. Well then, how does this work then, Gallegation? Because there are rocks on this side. So what are you thinking?
I mean, I guess you could try and run them a little bit across the map. I don't know. This just seems like an odd position. You can try and throw your lings immediately at those rocks and break them down, but they do have 2,000 health. It's going to take you a little minute, especially with no upgraded Zerglings. You can walk your queen over there and get some extra hits.
I mean, it's definitely something you would not expect, that's for sure.
Well, absolutely, absolutely.
So I am really curious as to what's going to happen here, because it is quite a long path. I mean, it's shorter than from the main, but it's not incredibly shorter of a ground travel path.
Wouldn't call it short.
Yes. Gas going down, spawning pool about half done, so I mean, normally I would say that I would assume there's going to be some Ling speed coming out. Engulf does have just the right number of drones to be filling out that geyser as soon as it pops out, with keeping the correct number of drones mining gas as well. Overlord is scouting around the base of Mr. Weasel. Expansion going down for him as well. So he's definitely not suspecting what's going on.
Not yet. And the thing that Protoss doesn't have as an advantage necessarily is they don't have the Overlords walking around. Sure, they have the Mothership Core, but you don't really want to use that as a scouting tool on all different corners of the map like you do with Overlords as a Zerg. So it's very possible that he won't know about this for quite some time.
And actually, I was just going to comment on what Mr. Weasel is doing right here. I was going to say that he doesn't have a hope in a million years to wall this ginormous ramp off. About the only thing you can do is sort of use your Nexus as part of a choke wall sort of thing to force the units around the backside in order to get to your main ramp. And it looks like he's going to be doing that, but it looks like even the observer chat in there saying, I don't know what's going on here. I am lost. But soon enough, if he continues, it looks like he's, I guess from what we're seeing now, we're seeing 2 spine crawlers go down at this proxy hatch. So my guess would be that he's pushing this creep out. He wants to move those spine crawlers up and start attacking those rocks with that. But like you said, as much HP as those rocks have, you would think that Mr. Weasel would see this coming. But then again, he is spending quite a bit of time, minerals, and effort walling off the right side of his expansion here.
That is a good point. So it's potentially a preventative measure or a proactive response to a giant wall. If he's not careful with this creep, though, it will creep into his opponent's base, and that will give him away.
I honestly don't think he's all that concerned about that, to be honest. I think he's just going to move. Yep, he's just going to move those creep tumors right on up there, because as soon as those rocks go down, he's probably just going to walk those spine crawlers right up there. And he's still mining on 1 gas with a fully saturated single base at home, and speed is almost done. So my guess is he's just going to take out these rocks and just flood with lings.
Yep, it does appear that way. The spine crawlers are moving in position and starting their job of whacking away.
Mr. Weasel certainly does know something is up now, as there's this strange purple stuff growing on the ground behind his base.
Yep, Mothership Corps going to scout out what is exactly going on and going to start the arduous, almost equally arduous work of trying to take down these spine crawlers single-handedly.
But the tough bit here for Mr. Weasel, sentries do actually take that out. I was just going to say the tough bit is that if he keeps forcing this creep out, he actually won't be able to build anything to block anything off. He does have quite a large number of sentries, so he will have quite a few force fields by the time these rocks go down.
Apparently a Queen of Engulfs walked to the front of the wall there. 2 zealots are being warped in to deal with that.
Well, rocks are down. 2 force fields go down to keep Engulf out, but he's just walking those spine crawlers up, actually making it easier to force field it off, because now there's a 1 hex place there in between those 2 spine crawlers that requires only 1 force field. I think he's realizing that, moving 1 spine crawler up, but spine crawlers do quite a bit of damage to sentries.
Yeah, they definitely do. You do not want to get poked by those, and Zerglings getting in do take a couple sentries out, it looks like. Photon overcharge going down, Banelings entering the fray here. They're going to be popping on whatever they can get their hands on. Presumably probes the zealots first, and then they go to, oh, huge!
He didn't even need to use it, but he did have quite a few queens there. He's got probably 6 to 8 transfuses by the time it's all said and done he could use on these spine crawlers here. As he moves them up there, it does go down 1 transfuse, and a second one, no transfuse. Transfusing the queen instead, but photon overcharge is down on that Nexus. Spine crawler's not able to get it done. He's going to have to pull back a little bit, but did quite a bit of damage there just in that 1 Baneling bust.
Absolutely.
2 zealots now in the base of Engulf, and he has nothing back here to defend, so he's going to have to completely stop mining, moving all his drones back to his remote natural expansion.
More force fields going out, down, trying to hold the line here.
Energy on those sentries is getting a bit low. 1 is out of energy, 2 have at least 1 force field left, but a spine crawler does walk its way up there, although it is taking quite a bit of damage. 2 transfuses go down. It is gonna get burrowed and do a little bit of damage. 1 cannon there is still poking away at it. Engulf just waiting for these force fields to go down to try and get his units up the ramp, and he does. The sentries had to move back because of that spine crawler. More transfuses go down again. Cannon is gonna, no, nice transfuse there, keeping that spine crawler alive.
And so many queens here. I mean, goodness gracious. They are keeping the spine crawler alive. Now we do see an immortal entering the mix. Queens are moving on out, waiting for more reinforcements.
Yeah,
and the spine crawler number has dwindled to nothing now here.
Yeah, but looking at the units lost here, workers killed, 15 killed for Engulf, so that is a pretty big deal. Looking at the, oh no, I just hit a, oh no, oh no. Well, that's awkward. I just hit the start over the replay button. So let me just come back to us here for a moment while I well,
Shouldn't you just like disable that key? Nicky Boy 909 says again.
Well, I wonder what's going to happen in this game. Nice, yes.
Oh,
Thanks.
boy.
The things you get to see here in SC2CTL. I am making a note right now as this game moves on. I'm even going to disable the sound so you don't get to hear what's going on there. Making a note right now to change that hotkey, as apparently it's right next to the important buttons. But Gallegation, so what have you thought of this build so far while we wait for this to come back up?
It's definitely been unorthodox, I'll give it that much. But it seems to be working. I mean, he's getting in there, he's doing some damage. He is going to lose his main, it appears. I mean, theoretically, you could just put a couple spine crawlers down there and be alright, unless, I mean, he moves an entire army down there. But then, you know, you get what you want because his base is undefended as well. And you just do a base trade. You've already got one set up. You're ready to go. But he's just kind of all-inning over here from this one base, moving his entire population of queens, all his drones, just keeps throwing banelings and spine crawlers into it. A little unorthodox for sure, but he's edging in. He's making ground.
He is indeed. Now we ended up going back here, so we get to see this a little bit again, but this is where he's going to move on up the ramp. Infinite transfused spine crawler here. But, you know, he is able to do a lot more than I thought he would. You know, I thought those rocks would be much more of an impediment to him, but it turns out that it wasn't really that big of a deal. These spine crawlers do so much damage, and he has so many queens. I mean, he's been constantly producing a good number of queens. He has lost a few, but the transfuses just keeping the spine crawlers alive so much, and the queens actually do a ton of damage, those immortals, with him focusing on the spine crawlers. But now he's going to have to start on over. I mean, it is a factor that 2 zealots forced him out of his entire main base back at home. Oh, and Engulf does end up GG there. So that was... we definitely belabored that one, didn't we? But alas...
a little bit more than it was worth.
Yeah, as I was saying there, though, I mean, that was really the game turner, is Mr. Weasel getting those 2 zealots back in the main base of Engulf. I mean, with losing that much mining time, basically an entire base's worth of mining, moving his drones back... really stopped his production altogether. And he wasn't able to produce much more out of that base either because those zealots did continue to whack away at that hatchery.
Yep. And that's just something that you have to prepare for when you're doing kind of a build like that. You've got to have something back at home to deal with whatever they send your way. Because, I mean, it's when you're pushing so hard so early, there's only so many resources available at that point. So it's pretty clear that you've been cutting a lot of stuff to get that army moving, to get it pushing. And if you can get 1 or 2 things, just like we saw there, that's all it takes.
Hey, Miraculous Gaming noticing that I hit some other buttons I wasn't aware of and accidentally noted the score as 2-0. Yeah, it was not that good, but in fact, the score is 1-1 after 2 now. Overdose Gaming taking the first one with a pretty long and macro-oriented PVZ. Second base, some unorthodox play out of Engulf for Miraculous Gaming taking... not quite as good of a game as he wanted to. Did end up losing that with some nice play by his opponent. But with that, we're going to go into a brief break and come right back for game number 3.